Okay, engineers report.
I just have a few things to talk about. We spoke about at the work session meeting 252 South State Street, the problem with the water coming up in the basement. The only new, I guess, information to report is that Mr. Gusty had Newtown Artesian Water Company test the water for presence of chlorine, and Newtown Artesian said it's not their water, it's groundwater. The only other thing is I asked Mr. Gusty if there, what year, if he knew the building was provided with public water and where the location of the well would be on the property and how it was abandoned. He didn't know the information, but he's looking into it now. Okay.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to try to find out yet.
But I have no new information other than that on that. And I guess the other item is having to do with the Old Skunky draft report.
Great. Did you want to report on, before we get to that, did you want to report on the culvert at the base of Frost Lane?
Oh, sure.
That we looked at today?
Okay, yeah. Julia and I and Mike Sellers went out and looked at the culvert at the end of the construction that was done last year at Frost Lane and Edgeboro Road. It was brought up for discussion at the work session meeting last week, how there was erosion and the grates at the end of the culverts were clogged, at least one with leaves. So we walked out there, took a look at it, and the contractor is going to need to put down new topsoil, do a little fine grading to bring the elevation up around the inlet so that water actually gets into the field inlet. Also remove a silt sack from the inlet. I guess we talked about the borough having to have a regular maintenance program to make sure the leaves are cleared out of those culverts so that they don't get blocked and so water can get through there effectively. I'll call the contractor and talk to him about regrading and finishing up, cleaning up the lawn area and having that regraded and seeded and stabilized before any retainage is given back or the maintenance bond is accepted.
Okay, and this is all part of his, of the work that the contractor needs to do to clean up and finish up the job before the, was it 5% that we have to pay? Is returned to him.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Was there any clarification as to why I guess the pipe that was extended out is going as far out? Is it almost like passing where it should be falling, the water should be lying? Wasn't that something that one of the residents had brought up, that the culvert, the tube comes out much further than?
It's uncovered is what we saw, right? And do you know why it is?
I don't. I spoke with the former borough engineer office about that today, and they weren't aware that it was uncovered, to that point. So I'll speak with the contractor about that as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yes, the other item is authorization for our office for PCS to review.
Great. We've, council, we have all received the draft of the Skunky report, and my question to council on this was is for authorization for our borough engineer to do a review of both this draft and the final version of the draft of the engineering report on Old Skunky when we receive it. And I was asking council, I believe I was going to ask you, Marion, what you thought a reasonable amount was as a not to exceed amount to review the study.
Right, I think we spoke about $500.
Okay. So could I have a motion to that effect?
I'll move to authorize the borough engineer to review the revised, Old Skunky engineering study. That would be the draft and final report at a not to exceed $500.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I guess I would just like to get clarification on why we feel there is a need for a review.
Well, My sense is that when we have a project like this done for the borough, that it behooves us to have our engineer take a look at the study to make sure that it meets our expectations in terms of giving us the information we need, if there aren't questions that it raises that we as council, because we're not engineers, might not be able to understand to ask. We can all read the text and draw our conclusions about the completeness of the report, but I think that since it's so technical, it would make sense to have our engineer as an impartial party also look at it and let us know whether the report requires any additional work or not. And had we sent out an RFP in the first place, we would have done that with our borough engineer in any case as well. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
And that's all I have unless anyone has any questions.
Regarding I should go back to the issue of the water problem at 252 South State Street. We had authorized you initially to go out and take a look to see if there was a municipal cause for the water and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done quite a bit of investigation at this point. What is your sense regarding the source of the water at this, based on your investigation?
My sense is that it would be possibly localized groundwater or possibly a spring, a localized spring.
Mm-hmm. And your recommendation to the property owner is to have that investigated?
That's what I would recommend, for him to have it investigated further by a geologist or hydrogeologist, someone with more experience in the field.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions regarding this? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any additional questions for the engineer? I'm looking ahead to see if we need to have you here for anything else on our agenda this evening. Okay. I don't believe so. Any objections to excusing our engineer at this point? No? Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and have a good
Thanks.
evening.